presentation, because there's no tricks, there's no hacks, there's nothing like that. It's just doing the basic stuff correctly. But I've got a couple images here to try and entice you to listen to my monotone voice for the next few minutes, because this is why it's important. So these numbers, this is a small local business. And after I implemented exactly what I'm going to tell you, so this is their Google Search Console. And as you can see, these are my graphic design skills to block out their images. I don't have the skills to fake this information. This is information directly from their Google Search Console. And preparing for this talk, I was like, how can I show people how this will work? And then I was like, oh, I'll just take a before and after. And so in your Google Search Console, you can go and you can specify certain dates. I think up to like 16 months is the max in terms of data that is kept in Search Console. So anyway, so this particular business a year ago, from August 12th to September 12th, their website got a total of 65 clicks. And then this year, 2021, the same time frame from August 12th to September 12th, they got 248 clicks. And that's huge for this business. This business owner is very happy. I don't know the math. I've done the math. I think it's like 280% more clicks. She's happy, and this was in a fairly difficult niche. This is in the medical niche, and that falls into YMYL in Google. YMYL is your money, your life. So that's going to be things like life insurance, anything to do with money, investing, and then health, like surgeons, dentists, stuff like that. So Google takes these niches very seriously, and they're more difficult, more competitive, and slower to rank. But even just doing what I'm talking about, this worked for them. Again, here's another one, August 12, 2020 to August, and then the same month this year. This business had 35 clicks. Basically, no one's finding the business. And then after implementing SEO, or just doing things, setting their website up correctly, essentially, they've got, I don't know, I think that was close to like 1,000% more clicks. Anyway, it works, and just about anyone can do this. So it starts with making your website HTTPS. It seems basic, but if you do all this stuff and you do get to the top of these searches and you're HTTP and someone's on Google Chrome and Chrome says that your business is not secure, I mean, that's not going to be helpful, because it's potentially could scare people away. So you have to be HTTPS. It's just like foundational basic stuff. The easiest, so the S stands for secure. This is a SSL certificate, secure sockets layer. I don't even know what that is. I just know that I need it, right? So I need that S. And the easiest way that I get the S is through my hosting company. Now, we were talking before in the networking portion of this about someone who had cheap web hosting and they did not like it. And one of the benefits of getting quality web hosting, which I recommend every business to get good website hosting, is that they handle this S for you. I just moved my website, and to do the S, I think I had to click like one, maybe two buttons, and it works great. And sometimes there's issues with the way the certificate is set up, and you can go to this URL right here, sslshopper.com, SSL checker. That's not my website, and it's free, but you can just drop your website in there. And if there is an issue, because sometimes you'll have the S, but there'll be problems. But if you go there and you see a problem and you have good website hosting, then you call your host and they fix it. So you definitely, it starts with getting HTTPS. And this is not so much an SEO thing, but this is something I learned from copywriting, and that is how people read left to right. So you want your name and logo to appear in the top left of the screen, and you want the logo to be as simple and obvious as possible, right? If you're a plumber, use a pipe in your logo. If you're a dentist, use something like a tooth or maybe a toothbrush. Just keep it super basic. And then, so you want your name and logo on the top left, and on the top right, you want your contact information and especially your phone number. And just the quick demonstration of this is my website. So name and logo, search engine optimization, your traffic going up, and then phone number top right, and it's clickable. So if you see when I highlight over here and you look in the bottom left-hand corner here, you see TEL ... and then the number. So that means someone can click on that and they're going to call me. Every local website, you want to make your phone number clickable. So name and logo, top left, phone number top right, make it clickable. And another part of the people reading left to right, and I see this a lot, and it's not just a local issue, I see this on all different types of websites. So what it will be is they forget that people read left to right. And you see this, so this is what is called center aligned text. And this is another thing I learned from direct response marketing. You can have headings and you can have subheadings center aligned. But if you want people to actually read the text, this is called paragraph text. If you want them to read the content, the information, you need to make it like this down here. You need to make it left aligned, because people will only read headings and subheads when it's center aligned. But when your content is center aligned, for whatever reason, people just skip over it. The brain just doesn't like center aligned paragraph text. So just make sure you do that. It seems, and this is just placeholder like Latin text, but this is just to show this is easier on the eyes. And another thing I do is I recommend that you do 3 lines and no more, because even 3 lines is too much on a mobile device. So that's not an SEO thing, it's more of a conversion thing, but if you're going to do things, this is the basics, it's important to get them right. And you gotta be clickable. Your phone number needs to be clickable. And in WordPress, this is super easy. I know everybody's not on WordPress, but I figured I'd throw this in there. You just go to, in the dashboard on the left-hand side, you go to Appearance, you go to Menu, you go to Create a Custom Link, and the URL section, you put TEL ... and then your phone number, and then for the text for the link, you just put your phone number, and then that's all you got to do. I don't know how to do it in other content management systems, but it's so important. If your content management system won't let you do that, get rid of them, but they probably do. It's not that complicated, but you need to do that. So it starts, this is the meat and potatoes of search engine optimization. What you need to know about Google, right? Because that's the main one. We all want to show up at the top of Google. Google cannot form opinions. It's not a person. It can only read information. It can only read data. And so this is why this is important. And this is basically the order of importance that I look at when I'm working on. This goes with any website, so of course it applies to local businesses as well. But it starts with the URLs. And your URL is going to be things like your brand.com/inner page. You want to get that you want to make it so it's easy to understand. So apologies, but if I'm backing out, but so let's say you are let's say you're a roofing company, right? If you're a brand and you're acme.com, but you are a roofing company and you are located in something like Durham, North Carolina. So you'd be like Durham roofing, right? So you got your location and your niche. You want your, in WordPress, they call this like post name, but when you do this, you want the dash right there. You want words spaced out. You want to say exactly what it is that you do. A lot of people they'll use weird, like sometimes things like that. For whatever reason, you don't ever want to do that. You want to just do that. I think one's the hyphen. I don't know. I call them the dash. But you want to make your URLs simple and easy to understand, because this is not a person that's going to look at this. This is a bot, and a bot needs information. So it's incredibly important to put information that you want a bot to understand. Google is Googlebot. You want them to understand about the page. The URL is the most important place to put that. So make sure that your URLs are giving as much information as you can and giving the correct information. The next place that you want to put important information is in things like your descriptions, your page titles, and your image file names and your heading tags. So if you, so your descriptions would be like the meta descriptions when you go to Google and it shows the link to the website and then the text under that. Google can pull it from different places, but there's generally, so definitely in WordPress, there's a place to go in and put your meta description. And that's where you just tell what is on the page. It's like a brief summary of, hey, this is what's on the page. And it's generally useful to put a keyword in there, although you don't have to. It's much better just to explain what's going on. But if you're clearly explaining what's going on the page, you're naturally going to have a keyword in there that a bot is going to be able to understand. Page titles are also another very important place to put information for a bot, for a machine to come and understand. So every page that you want to show up into the Google search results, make sure that you have accurate page titles. And you don't want to use duplicate content. You don't want the same page title over and over and over. You want it to clearly state basically what you want that page to show up for. And heading tags are like, they're in the content. So like this would be a heading. It starts with H1 and then H2, H3, H4. You only want one heading, one H1. I only use one H1, and then after that, it doesn't matter. But think of heading tags as the headline and then subheads. And it can be useful to put a keyword in there as well. And the keyword's going to be like, the good or service that you sell. So like roofing or painting company. But a thing to note with keywords is you don't want to overdo it. You basically just want to mention it like once in each of these places. You don't need to go overboard with your keywords, but you definitely want to get it in places like the URL, page titles, and certainly image optimizations. Images optimization is you want to think of that like, so an image would be like Durham roofing JPG, whatever, right? So you're going to kind of want to think of an image file name very similar to a URL. And anchor text. So there's a couple different types of anchor text. Anchor text is a link. So click here. That is anchor text. Anchor text is another place that a bot comes to crawl to understand what that web page is, or possibly to understand where it's going, the page that it's going to. So anchor text on a local website, if you're like your home page, you might be talking about commercial roofing, right? And so you might link to your inner page on commercial roofing. And so your anchor text might be our commercial roofing services, and you link to your inner page on commercial roofing systems from your homepage, which is like acme.com. So that anchor text is another good place to put information for a bot to understand. And again, keywords are generally good there, but you don't want to overdo it with keywords. One thing you want to do with SEO and keywords, and again, a keyword is going to be like DUI lawyer or roofing or whatever you want to show up for. You always want to do less instead of more, because you don't want to be over optimized. It's a lot harder to detune your website than it is to improve it to show up for something. So just don't go crazy on anchor text. And then content, that's the least important place to put information for Google to understand your web page, but you still want to put relevant information in your content. So that's going to be so this would be the content, the paragraph text. Just tell people what you want them to know about your business, your services, and tell them why it's important. And this is something I see on a lot of websites. So a business owner, they might be a roofer or a painting company or a bunch of other niches that I can't seem to think of right now. But there's a whole bunch of different businesses, and they're good at running their business. They're not good at making websites. So they hire companies like mine, or I actually don't build websites, but they hire a marketing company that does build websites. And they'll often give these dentists and roofers a template. And the website looks good. It's a template website, and it comes with some just stock content. And I'm using dentists because I've done a lot of work on dentist websites. You'll see the exact same text on dentist websites. And you can I use a website called copyscape.com. You just drop this stuff in there and you'll see all the different websites that are using that exact content. And it's not good, but it's also not helpful to your customer either. So if you get a new website and they provide content, you're probably not paying extra for them to give you unique content. So you need to go back in if you did buy a website, and if there is content on it, it's probably duplicate. So just go and take the time to write your own content. You do it, have an employee do it, talk about your business, talk about your service and why it's important. Don't just use stock content. So one of the ways that local SEO and small and medium-sized local businesses can really win is getting your NAP correct. And so your NAP is a name, address, and phone number, and you want to get that properly linked to the certain pages that you're on. So you want your Durham. So in this particular example, you've got 3 different business locations, right? If you just have one, then you could just be like website.com. But let's say you're a business and you've got 3 offices, right? So you would create a separate page for each office location. And on that page, you would have your name, address, and phone number. And you will want the name, address, and phone number for your Durham location is going to be different than the name, address, and phone number for your Raleigh location. Well, the name would be the same, but the address and phone number are going to be different for Raleigh and Cary. On your Durham page, you only want information about Durham. On your Raleigh page, you only want information about Raleigh. And on your Cary page, you only want information about Cary. And so you're going to, on this page, you would talk about maybe a little bit about Durham, maybe like a sentence or 2, and then your services. And the reason why you want to do it this way is because, I just changed the oil in my car, and I bought it from AutoZone, and had to buy it at the location that's closest to my house, AutoZone or Advance. And that's exactly how this big national company does it. All their information about Durham was going to their Durham page. And this also gets more specific to, like, if you have multiple locations in one city, you would create a separate page for each one of those. And so you want to be consistent with it. And the reason, the way to really get local SEO to work for you is consistency with your name, address, and phone number. And one of the ways that I kind of approach domain names is if you have like website.com, and let's just say you're a roofer, and so your website your Acme Roofing, right? So if you're acmeroofing.com and I want to show, and I have an office location in Durham, and I want to show up for when people are looking for a roofer in Durham, I'd be acmeroofing.com/Durham. Now, if you don't have a keyword in your name and you're just acme.com, then it would be like this, like acme.com/the city and then the niche or keyword. Or maybe you could go keyword and then city. But that way you're getting both those into the URL. But you don't want to overdo it. Like, so if you wouldn't want to be like acmepressurewashing.com/Durham pressure washing. That's just, again, what I said about keywords, you don't need to overdo it with keywords. You want to do less is more. And I don't know, I can't actually see if people are asking questions, but if you do have questions, I'll try and answer them at the end. And yeah, so bobspressurewashing.com, you wouldn't need to do like Durham pressure washing. But if you're just branded here, then I would do like that. And there's like everything, it depends, but that's the basic strategy.
Sorry, your message about questions reminded me that I forgot to tell folks there's a Q&A section over on the right-hand side. If you want to put your questions there and vote on the ones that you want to have answered first when we get to the Q&A section.
Yeah. Okay, so it's super important to be consistent with this stuff and to set it up correctly, because Google rewards you for doing this. And you want to, local is all about the NAP, the name, address, and phone number. So your Durham page only has your address and phone number for your Durham location. And a lot of business owners I'll see like their home page will have their 3 business locations on it. They'll have like Greensboro, Raleigh, and Durham. And that's not what you want to do. You want to break it up and have a Greensboro page and a Raleigh page. And you want to create a NAP for each one of these. And you want to be consistent. And the way that I do it is I have a spreadsheet for each project I work on. For each project I work on, I have the name, address, and phone number for each location, for each business location. And then I just copy and paste, because you're going to need to kind of make a bunch of these, and you're going to need to like keep using this information, and you want it to be as consistent as possible. And so what I do is I just use a spreadsheet, but I'd recommend that you come up with some way that is easy for you. If it's a spreadsheet, great. If it's not, something else, but make it so that you can just copy and paste it to remain consistent for each location. And it sounds like I'm going on and on about this consistency because it is so important, because you get this right and Google just sends you a ton of local searches. And so citations is an industry, that's a online marketing industry speak for business listing, right? And so business listing is going to be Google My Business is the biggest one, and then there's Apple Maps, Bing Places, the Better Business Bureau. I don't recommend Yelp, but this applies to Yelp if you use it. And then there's there's hundreds of other ones. But let's just talk about Google My Business, right? So in that example I was using before, where they had the 3 business locations on their homepage, they also had 3 Google My Business listings for each city, their Greensboro, their Raleigh and Durham offices. And they all had their Google My Businesses going to their homepage. So 3 different Google My Business locations. It's supposed to be very specific. And it was all going to the homepage. So they weren't showing up. They weren't getting local search traffic because they were confusing Google. When you break this all up and send your citations, which have your name, address, let's talk about Greensboro. So for your Greensboro office, you have your name, address, and phone number for Greensboro. You have the Google My Business listing. You put all the Greensboro information in there. You copy and paste it. And then you link it to the Greensboro page. You have acme.com/Greensboro lawyer or Greensboro pressure washing. And so that way it's consistent, because Google will go to it'll see, on your Google My Business, it's the Google My Business listing for the Greensboro location, and it goes to the page on your website about your Greensboro office. And then you want to do the same with all of these. And then there's the data aggregators. So when you submit your information to Foursquare, Data Axle, this website, all these other smaller websites pull data from these. And so on the one hand, that's good. But on the other hand, if you don't have your NAP correct and you put it into here and then it gets pulled and distributed to all these little websites, it's so hard to change the information once it's pulled out from here. So I wouldn't start doing this stuff until you know how to be consistent with copy and pasting your NAP and linking it to the correct page on your website. Because once it goes into here and then the information gets pulled from here, it's very hard to change. So do it slowly and start out with one location and just be consistent with your NAP. And another thing about the name, address, and phone number. So if you are, you want to pick one version of your name and stick with it. So if you're Acme Roofing Company LLC. Basically, unless you have to be LLC, it doesn't matter. People put LLC all the time. You don't need that. I would get rid of it. Less is more in a situation like that. But let's say that so this is what I see a lot, right? People don't even know that they're doing this. They'll be Acme Roofing Company LLC. They'll be Acme Roofing Company. They'll be Acme Roofing, just Acme Roofing. There'll be Acme Roofing.co or not. This is not the same name. A machine, Google, which cannot form an opinion because it's a machine, we can all be like, oh yeah, that's the same company. Google cannot. It sees different information and it's inconsistent, so it doesn't trust that information as much. Google wants to provide the best results that it can, so it wants to provide the most trusted information. So if everywhere Google goes to look, it sees Acme Roofing, Acme Roofing, Acme Roofing, then Google can be pretty sure that is all the same business. So pick one version of your name and copy and paste it everywhere else. It's very important. Okay, so another thing that I do for local is branding, or I call it owning your brand search. And I do this with creating a bunch of social media profiles, and then I link them to my homepage. And you can go to a website like noam.com got a list of like hundreds of social media websites. So you create a bunch of social media websites and you link them to the homepage. This isn't like the citations or business listings where you would do an inner page. You don't need to do these for each locations. This is just if you're not showing up you're not completely owning the front page for your search result for your brand name. So you create a bunch of social media profiles. It also helps to do a video and upload it to YouTube or other sites. You can make a video just with your phone talking about your business and put your business name in the title of the video. And then it's got a pretty good shot of showing up when people do a brand search for your business. So if somebody recommends Bob's Painting Company, Bob wants to make sure that he completely shows up for his social media profiles and his videos and his website show up completely for that. And why is it important? Is because if you Google Nike, Coca-Cola, Target, stuff like that, they completely own the search results for their brand name. So I stick to the most important things that move the needle the most. And so for website speed, this is all I do. I get good I buy good website hosting, and then I use smaller image file sizes. If you're taking pictures with your phone and uploading it to your website, the images are probably way bigger than you need. So just try and use smaller image file sizes. There's free tools online where you can resize your images. But this is a huge one right here, buying really good website hosting. I just did that for several of my websites, and it made a huge difference. Google My Business, that's going to be your most important business listing. There are some people who just specialize in Google My Business. I don't. But basically what you want to do is just fill out as much information on your Google My Business as you can. These days, there's so much that there's going to be a lot of stuff that isn't applicable to you, but give it as much information as you can. And a little thing that I recommend is you can ask questions and answers in Google. Most people don't use this feature, but this is a great place to put information about your business that will be keyword rich and also helpful for someone who finds it. So helpful for someone who can buy your goods and services. So I recommend 3 to 5 frequently asked questions and 3 to 5 should ask questions. These are questions that a person should ask, but they don't. So like the example I use is a realtor, right? So someone will call up a realtor. The frequently asked question is, hey, can you show me this house? The realtor will say, hey, have you been approved for a loan? So you could put how to get approved for a loan. That would be your should ask the question, and then you answer it. Fill out as much information on GMB as you can and take advantage of the question and answers. And the way this works, when you do the NAP, when you do all this stuff correctly, this is a website. I think I started working on it here or here. These are impressions. So these are the number of times that Google shows your website to somebody. And this particular website, I removed like 3 to 5 pages of the website. The guy stopped selling one of these services, and then a couple pages were just way too similar, and I thought that would confuse Google. So I removed pages, optimized the website, did the citations, had the correct business listings going to the correct pages, and that increased his traffic significantly, even after removing pages from Google. And so that was the impressions. These were clicks. I mean, his website wasn't getting found. And then now he said, not only is he getting more calls, but he's getting more relevant calls. So and this is all I did. These aren't any tricks. It's very basic stuff. But you can see like the work started right around there. So in this example, this guy is crushing it with near me searches. And so this, you can't really see. So this is October 2019. So for like years, near me searches have just been going up. So that's I need a plumber near me. I need my pipe broke near me, or fix my pipes near me, or I need a lawyer near me. Near me are local searches. Near me convert really well because you're looking for something, you're looking for it now, and that's how you can show up. That's how I get tons of near me searches for my clients, is just doing local the correct way. Nothing fancy, just doing that. And so this is just more from Google Trends, just showing you, like, of course, food is going to be a big near me, but you can go to Google Trends and just type in near me and just see for yourself. So this is one of my clients. I downloaded some information from their Google Search Console, and this was, there's so many different variations of near me. So so I took out some of the information. I used the word blank for the niche he was in, and then, like, so I don't want to tell his name, but it's like niche blank near me, niche blanking near me, ceramic blank near me. There's, out of all of these, out of this whole spreadsheet, there was 136 different variations of near me. There's so many searches out there that you'll never realize that you can show up for if you do this correctly. And that's why it's important. It's like, it's low-hanging fruit, but in terms of search engine optimization, it's low-hanging fruit, but it's valuable and relatively easy to get. And that's why I think everybody should do this. And so one of the secrets of near me is you do not optimize for near me. You don't want to put near me in your anchor text. You don't want to put near me in your page titles. You do not want to put near me in your URLs or your content. You don't want to use it at all because it's not natural. And I never have, and I get tons of near me searches, but I do see websites try and, like, hack this, and they'll put near me in the page titles and wonky stuff, and you just tell that they're trying really hard. You don't need to do that at all. Just build your website in a way that makes sense to web standards and norms, like I've just shown you, and you'll get tons of near me searches. Google will reward you. And that's pretty much it. I think I went a little bit long.
No, this has been great. And I'm going to give everybody just a moment here. If you find your way over to the Q&A section, there is a list of questions there, and your upvotes will help us decide which questions to answer first. Or if you have any questions that you would like to add to that list, now is the time to get those in there. All right, I've given you a few seconds. So I am going to start with the top one on my list here. And continue adding questions, continue voting. Bruce, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop back off of here so that way you can read the question out, because we do have an audience that is watching here live, and then we also have the audience on social media. So if you'll read out the question and then jump right into your answer, I will just keep a stream of new questions showing up on the screen for you.
Okay. So am I still sharing my screen, or?
If you need to share your screen to answer the question, you're welcome to, but otherwise, it's just...
This is where it might be useful to do the notepad.
Yep, you do still have the screen sharing as an option.
Okay. All right, so how do you handle your NAP if you're providing a service area with one location? So I don't know exactly what you're saying, but I think, so maybe if you have one office, but then people don't really come to your office, you go out to them. So in Google My Business, you can set your, like, a service area. So you could be like all of Raleigh or all of North Carolina. And you can actually make it so you would still be consistent with your NAP, but you would set your service area for this, like the whole city or the whole state or whatever. But you would also, you'd also basically want to do the exact same things I said. So so let's see, interiors. So Stacy Interiors, right? Um, if you serve Raleigh and Durham, I would create a Durham page and a Raleigh page. And I would do the same thing for Raleigh. Even if you only have one location, I would still separate the pages, but I would point all the Durham stuff to, like if my office is located in Durham, but I also serve Raleigh, I would do all the citations and stuff, the NAP be consistent with Durham, and I would point it to the Durham page. I would also create a Raleigh page as well. Another way you could do that is just not do this, just do your one location and set the Google My Business to, I don't know if I was presenting right then. But set your Google My Business to your service area that you want to do. So if you want to service all of North Carolina, you can make it so that you service all of North Carolina. But you would still be you still only have that one office location, so you would still just point everything to the page, the one page of where your office is located. Or you can also, if you just have one location, you can also just do it to the home page. You can do everything to the home page. And then if you do decide to get another location, you would leave it the way it is, and then you would be like Raleigh. But then you would do everything I just said to the Raleigh page for the Raleigh location. Wait, I don't think I was presenting. Anyway, I hope that helped.
You were presenting.
Yeah, I guess I'm running into issues where I don't know when I'm sharing my screen or not.
I'm about to throw another question up on stage for you there.
Okay, can you expound on removing pages from your website? What are some reasons you would remove pages? Sometimes this is one of those classic SEO things where it depends. So on the particular example I was talking about, the gentleman had some blog posts that he didn't put a lot of effort into. I'm not sure if he hired someone to do them or maybe he did them. And it was kind of saying the same things. And they weren't that well done. They weren't like valuable. They weren't, if someone landed on it, they're not getting a whole lot of new information that they're not just going to get on the homepage. And there's like several of them. And when you have that, it's competing with, I don't know this for a fact, it's just in my mind and from my experience, I feel like these weaker, lower quality pages are kind of competing with the location page that I want to show up. And I was like, so when I asked the client, I'm like, hey, I kind of pointed out to him what I just told you. I was like, is it cool if we just get rid of these? And he said, yeah, no problem, like right off the bat. And so since there was no pushback, I figured that he didn't know what he was doing and he was trying to get traffic. And so we removed useless, basically redundant pages that were saying the same things, not as well. And I can't say that one thing helped us, but it sure as heck did not hurt us. So if you're going to put a page on your website, try and make it useful. You don't even have to need to know SEO. Just try and make it unique and useful. I hope that helps. Should I answer another question?
Just put one up on stage. How do you create unique content for each location if the business offers the same services at all locations?
Okay, that's actually a really good question. You don't really even need to you don't even need to get too creative with this. You don't even need to you don't need to go that far with it. I would just do one or two sentences about the Durham location, one or two sentences about the Raleigh location, the Cary location, and then you just put the same information about your service. And if you want guidance on this, look at just start Googling around, but Google around to like things have a bunch of different locations. So like I just changed my oil, and I think I went to Advance or AutoZone or something, and they did it correctly. Like each location had a page, and on that page was information about that store. It still talked about auto supplies and stuff like that, but that store only had that page for that store only had information and the phone number to that place. So like when I clicked a call, I called the store that is right down the road from me that I was buying the stuff and picking it up from. So if you want to see how it works, go to Google and search for Orkin, right? They're a big pest control. I'm assuming that their SEO is pretty good. So just go and see how they do their separate business locations. So you don't need to go overboard with creating unique content about the location, but your Raleigh location is your Raleigh location, and your Durham location is the Durham one. So you're going to talk about it, but you don't need. I would do like everything. It depends, but you don't need to go overboard. And you can just look at Google and see, do some searches like that and see what Google thinks. If Google's like all you really need to do is say the name of the, just the name of the office, then that's all you need to do. Should a company claim both HTTP and HTTPS in Google Search Console? Hackers are claiming the HTTP. Okay, I'm not a hacker and I'm not a web security guy, so I just to let you know that. I have always been told to claim I think both of those, or maybe it's the dub version, and then the just straight domain version. I usually just do one. I'm not. There's probably people that have a much better answer to that. I usually just do one. I used to claim 2 years ago, and then didn't ever figure out what good it would be. So now I just claim one. Hacking, I don't know why Google would let them claim your domain, because you still have to put the tag on the site to claim it. So maybe they can I don't know how they can. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. Frank, do you have any input on that one?
Yeah, I can add a little background on this. Early days of Search Console, you used to have to claim HTTP, HTTPS, and with and without the W's, which would be a total of 4 separate properties that you would have to claim. A couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, Search Console changed that, and you can actually claim it as a domain property, which will roll the information for all 4 of those into a single report for you. However, if you claimed these more than that many years ago, you may need to go back and make some adjustments to how your Google Search Console is set up if you have not already claimed all 4 of those. And with regards to the hackers, exactly what you were saying is right. In order for somebody to claim one of these, they have to have access to the server. And so if they have that access, you have a lot bigger problems to wrestle with.
Yeah, that's out of my league.
All right. Next question for you.
Yeah, I saw this one. It's so important. Uh, are you saying it's important to be consistent with your nap? Yes, and it's a lot harder than you realize. You want to be consistent with your nap, and here's the thing: you can show up. You if you just do what I showed. I'm not even saying you're gonna. Let's say you're a Raleigh dentist, you could do what I just showed you, and you're still not going to show up. And it's possible to still not even show up at the top of searches for Raleigh dentist. But what you will show up for is a ton of these near me searches. Now you can do more work to show up at the top of like Raleigh dentist, but even just doing what I said, you can still get lots of near me. It's just it worked a few years ago pretty good, and then in the last 2 years, it's working so well, and it's not that complicated other than being consistent. And yeah, it's important. Okay, this is a really good question. So how do you write good alt image text? The way I like to do alt image text is I don't really like to use keyword in the alt image. So, okay, so one might be worth, am I sharing my screen? Gosh, it would be helpful if I knew if I was sharing my screen. Okay, so I can't, it would be helpful if I had the notepad, but I don't think I'm sharing my screen. So you want to think of the...
Sorry, it took me a moment to click the button. I do have to hide the question when you share your screen, so your screen sharing is active now.
Where's the button?
Well, you're already sharing your screen. There you go.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
We're with you.
So you want to think of the alt text similar to, so let's say there's a picture of a dog in the front lawn. So you would be like, say you've got a dog grooming business in Durham, North Carolina, and there's a dog in the front lawn. So I might be like, dog grooming Durham in C.jpg. That might be the image file name. Now the alt text is, you want to think of like the page title, well, it's similar. But with alt text, I just explain what the picture is. So I'll say something like, if it's a dog in the front lawn, dog playing on the front lawn. So that's what I do. With alt text, I don't get fancy. I just try to describe. I'll get a little fancy with the image file name, but with the alt text, I'm just super basic. I just say exactly what's going on in the image. Near me. Okay. Please review near me. So, okay. So let's go to Google and let's look at auto. So auto, I can't see. So auto mechanic near me. Right? So the people that are doing it right are going to be these people and Yelp. So near me is a search that Google will often use in the drop-down menu. You want to ignore this. This stuff is a plugin called Keywords Everywhere, so it's adding a bunch of data like search data and stuff. But near me, here, maybe I can use one that doesn't have that. So auto. So auto mechanic near me, auto mechanic shops near me. So it's all this stuff I wouldn't even think to look up, like auto mechanic shops, right? Auto, what do we say? Auto repair. Auto mechanic repair near me, auto mechanic repair shops near me, mobile auto repair. So look at this, repair mechanics near me. There's all this stuff. So like I would never even know to optimize for all this different stuff. I would be doing a proper page about an auto mechanic and his locations. If he's got multiple locations, he's got multiple locations. I do the NAP for each of those locations going to that page. Or if it's just one location, I do everything to the home page. But that's the value of near me. So let's look at another dog grooming. Let's see if dog grooming near me, dogs for sale near me, dog training near me, dog grooming courses near me, dog grooming school, dog grooming prices. So it's just, there's so many near me searches out there. Like it blows my mind how many, like it's hard for me to explain to a client or someone that I'm trying to get to be a client, the value of near me searches, because I can't even tell them how many near me searches that they could potentially be getting. Because it's just, there's not many of these searches in terms of like, there's not 100,000 people a month searching for dog grooming courses near me, right? There might only be one a month, but there's so many different variations, and all these different variations at 1 to 10 to 20 searches a month really adds up. Okay, so the question is, what did you say not to worry about Yelp? I don't like them. Most of my clients don't like them. You sign up for Yelp, you'll get a ton of sales calls from Yelp to try and sell you on buying whatever Yelp services. I don't know. You can do all this. You can do all this stuff without Yelp, but if you do have Yelp, then treat it just like all these other business listings. Make sure your NAP is correct. I just don't like the company personally, but you can use them if you have them. And I've got Yelp listings, but I don't create new ones for new projects unless somebody asks me to. But there's nothing really wrong with them other than they're kind of annoying. Left to right in the USA, however, my clients want to have their menu. Okay, so the question is, I know people read left to right in the USA, however, my client wants to have their menu on the left side of the page rather than along the top. Is there any problem for local SEO if the menu is on the top left side and not on? Okay, no, there's not. And so when I was going on and on about the left to right stuff, that doesn't impact search at all. You got to remember, I got into SEO from being a direct response marketer, and that's all about like conversion, and the way people read. Like direct response is you're selling with words, so your words are very important. And so that's just it doesn't impact search. It impacts like user experience and conversion. So the question is, how do you make a clickable phone number? So in WordPress, it's very easy. Most of the work I do is on WordPress, but I've worked on other local sites. And while I don't remember, I usually have to watch YouTube videos or something. I usually figure it out. But on WordPress, it's very simple. Where did I do it? Phone number clickable. On WordPress, in your dashboard, you go to Appearance, and then you go to Menu. You select the menu, your top menu, and then there's a place to create a custom link. So you click on that to create a custom link. And then in the section that says URL, this is the code you put in there. TEL ... and then your number. And then for the text part, you could do that, or you could do area code dash like that. And other than that, if it's a different content management system, which I've worked on a bunch of different ones, and I don't think I've ever not been able to do it. So I'd usually just go to YouTube and how to make a phone number clickable with Webflow or something like that. But it's usually pretty easy, and if you can't do it, it's really not cool because you need it. Okay, this question is, if local SEO is mostly about doing simple things right, why do you think most businesses don't get this right? Do they not know what to do? Do they not have the time to get this done? This is a very good question, Frank. It's repetitions, right? I only know how important this minute, like basic stuff is because I've done it a whole bunch of times, and I've done it a whole bunch of times wrong. That's how I started out. And I had to find out, if I do it correctly and consistently, it works way better. It works. And so people don't know this because they're busy being doctors and growing their doctor business or their roofing business or whatever. And so that's why they hire people like me, people like Frank, people like come to this group because we've just done it so many times. Like, I hope this is helpful, and I hope people can watch this and then implement some of this stuff. But it's the dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's that, like, I've done so many times. I can do it, no problem. I can show people how to do it. But a lot of times they'll miss something up. They'll mess up like their name. They'll mess up their street. They'll be like 123 front street. They'll be 123 front ST. They'll be 123 front, and then they'll be like 123 front drive. And it's like, that's not consistent because they're probably not copying and pasting or have some system for being consistent. So hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah, thank you very much for a very insightful presentation. We had a list of questions for you there. And I'll give everybody just a moment to hit those emojis and show you some love. The online version of applause, since we can't really applaud you in person. But yeah, thank you very much for the presentation.
Well, I would like to just say something real quick. I think this is, like what I showed, if you can just get most of this right, you can just get this traffic. And now it's more important. Like, I like this stuff, and I love this stuff, and I love working with small, medium, local businesses before all the craziness started. But now that all the craziness, man, it's just so important. And so I don't think I was getting too technical. And most people can implement this stuff. So that's the thing. Like, I want to like empower people. A business owner who sees this, if they can understand it and they can go fix this stuff, like, they can get more business. I've done it. I've just doing what I haven't hired people, but the people, my clients, have gotten more business that they had to hire people. So yep. It's
like you said,
low hanging but valuable search fruit.
Like you said, this is the 80-20 of it. This is the 20% of the work they have to do to get 80% of the results. So for the rest of the group that's on the call with us, we're going to switch back over to the networking in just a moment. And Bruce, would you mind occupying one of the tables there for anybody that has any questions that they didn't want to put into the Q&A that they might want to ask you personally?
Yeah, it just might take me a second to figure out how to get there, but I will go there.
All right, well, I'm going to kick everybody out of the conference room presentation area here, and we'll see the tables in front of us in just a moment.
And I would like to say thank you, Frank. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.